Okay, hopefully as you're going through the notes, you're starting to get curious about things, and particularly you're looking at something that would be really difficult to do by hand. And this is the sum formula that we introduced you in class. And it's to get an approximation of pi. It's highly efficient. It converges very rapidly to pi. But again, I'm hoping you're getting curious. And what do you mean by curious? That you're starting to think about using software. So let me just look at this, and I'm gonna try to type this in, right? So var. Well, I'm sorry, n. Let me do reset first. Reset. I've always been doing that, right? N equals a variable. I'll just type that in. I don't want to bore you with me typing, but I'll go through it. All right. I'll tell you what I just typed in over there. I'm typing in 1 over. I'm typing in 1 over this crazy looking sum formula right over here. All right. And what's that sum formula? 1 divided by, well, it's going to be 2 square root of 2, divided by, 9801, sum factorial 4n star 103, 26390. Yeah, look, I did okay. Divide by factorial n to the 4th power, 396 to the 4n. I'm seeing that. By the way, the reason for the dot, it's exceeding the line length. And so it's getting this dot, so I'm continuing. And for n from 0 to 10, and then approximated. And this should be approximately pi. All right. Now let's say I want to change this. And let me just go backwards. Instead of 10, I want to do 1. Whoops. A little tricky there, huh? Wow, didn't seem to change much, did it? Go back to 0, see what happens there. Well, that certainly changed, right? But look how close it is to pi, right? So, pi, just to give you an idea. Impeccably close, all right? Really is, and it's remarkable, all right? Now, someone could say, could Sage go out even further? Let me type in 100. All right. You get the idea that this could be done. Now, someone says, that really doesn't interest me. We're not saying it does. What I'm saying is you need to see some connection between the typeset version of what we're providing to you and then how things are entered into Sage. And this is something that most people struggle with. They see the typeset version, which is the one they give you in the notes, and then you got to type this into Sage. We recommend you give it a try. Now, why is that? When you start to move forward, you're going to be given problems that you can't do by hand. You're going to have to be able to type them into something like Sage or some other computer operating system. They're pretty much uniform, by the way. Now, certainly, I'm going to do one other thing here. I'm going to go to Wolfram Alpha. All right, let me do that momentarily. I'm going to open up a web browser. Wolfram Alpha. And I typed it in. Sum. Let's see. 4n factorial 1103 26390 n divided by n factorial. This is a lot easier to type, isn't it? To the 4th power divided by 396 to the power. Whoops, sorry about that. 4n. Oops. 4n equals 0 dot 10. I didn't type the whole thing. I just want to see what this does that's different than Sage. So hit the enter button. And I wanted to see if I typed it in okay. The one thing I like about Wolfram Alpha, what it does, it takes my, my typing and it says, did they understand what I want to type in? And I think so. 26390n plus 110, 1103, 4n factorial. Yeah, it looks good. Now I'm gonna improve this now. And what am I gonna improve it? I'm gonna, multiply it by, let's see. So let's take a look at that. And I'm going to see if it understands this. Let's see, 2 square root of 2 divided by 9801 times that sum. Let me see. Again, I don't know if it's going to understand me. And I really mean that. And let's see if it understood me. Now, yeah, it does. I got to be honest with you. It writes something down over here that you might be confused by now, but it's not so bad. All right. I'm going to try to improve it. Back up here. And again, this is what's nice about Wolfram or other commercial software. And you should play around with software. Wow, it made it even harder to follow. All right, I got to change that then. Oh, now I know what happened. I typed that wrong character. I understand what happened there. All right, it's a little bit better. 2 root 2, 9801, here to 10, 4 in factorial. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right. All right, so I just want to scroll over here. And when I notice over here, it's got this decimal number down. But really, what was I looking for? I was looking for the pi, right? So what I want to do is 1 divided by this. And I'm just refining my code as we go through it. That's all I'm doing. Give me a little blinky lights, right? Gee, it's not approximating it. So I'm going to say approximate. You know what? I'll just type in 1.0, see if it does that then. It's always the frustrating about software. You have to try things. Yeah, there it goes. I'm getting it. Now someone says, can you get more more digits over here? Yeah, if you pay for Wolfram Alpha, you can. But the bottom line is, I just tried something different. All right, so I'm gonna go back to my notes, and what I want to do is I want to just look at another piece of software. And the reason for this, I want to encourage you to think about using a variety of packages. So I looked at Sage, I looked at Wolfram Alpha, and now what I want to do is I want to look at a program called Grapher. Now, I'm not saying that you want to use these products, but you need to start to realize you need to develop a skill set that involves a large number of tools. It's just not one tool. All right, so let me go to Grapher, and I kind of pre-typed it in for you, but I'm typing in e to the x, and I'm typing in this series over here, and I kind of like this because it's easy for me to read it. I see it, I understand what it's saying to me, and you can play around with this. All right, what I mean by that is you could, maybe change the from 0 to 2. Now, what is this going to give me? It's going to give me a parabolic fit to e to the x, and I see that. All right. Now, if I did 3, it'll be a cubic fit. If I did 4, 4th degree polynomial fit. If I did 5, 5th degree polynomial fit. I hope you can appreciate as I do this how quick it is to do it and how good that fit is getting. Now, but I got to be honest with you, the fit is really good after 0. Below the 0, though, what am I noticing is when it starts at those negative numbers like minus 2.5 at this point, you notice it's moving apart from the curve. And you might say, well, if I move out to 20, would it get better? Yeah, it's going to get better. Watch this. All of a sudden, it's out to minus 7 or so. All right, you get the idea. So what's this about? Using software. Get comfortable with it. As you go through the notes, though, we're doing things by hand. I can't say it enough times. You want to learn what we're doing by hand, manipulation. You also want to start to appreciate why we typeset work for you, so it's easier to read. This is the whole point of communicating with people. We want to make sure it's easy to read. What's the problem using this like Sage or other applications? It's the typing it in, all right? It may not look great, but the bottom line is if you're using something like Sage, it might look horrific to you, but the bottom line is most computer algebra systems do look horrific, all right? You got to get used to that. But here's the deal. When you present information, you need to come up with a way to present it, whether you have really good penmanship or you're typing it up, whatever. It needs to be done. Here's the deal, though. We go through problems. We go through these problems, handwork, 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 handwork. As we start doing this stuff over here, you should start thinking about how you could use software to better understand this material. We just discussed about sums, how to type a sum into an application like Grapher, or if you're using, you could even do it in Sage, for example, start to experiment, start to look at these problems, start to look at this stuff. What do you mean by that? Sometimes you're going to be given graphs. My suggestion to you is if you see a graph in the notes, try to reproduce that graph using your favorite form of technology. All right. So as you're scrolling through the notes, start to look around for figures in the notes that you can reproduce using technology. And I can't say it enough times to you. Start to get comfortable with using technology. Thank you for your attention.